what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it.
Colin Hurley had returned to Baton Rouge this weekend. He was at the LSU scrimmage on Saturday. Now, he did not participate. If you remember, Hurley's the redshirt freshman quarterback. He was injured in that single car accident back on January 16th. He was found unresponsive at the scene, and he had to rehab a little bit. He went to the hospital once he was released. He returned to his home in Jacksonville to recover. He did not participate in spring drills, but he was able to travel to Baton Rouge to be with the team this weekend. So if everything continues to trend in the right direction, you'll maybe see, hey, could Colin Hurley return to this football team in the fall for the 2025 football season? I would love for him to stick around and compete with Michael Van Buren, not just for the backup spot this year, but in 2026 after Garrett Nussmeier moves on. I would like to see Colin Hurley still a part of this football team and compete for the starting job. Now, I love his ability as a passer. He's a guy that I was high on coming out of high school. If you remember, he reclassified. So when he joined the team, he was actually only 16 when he got to LSU. So this will technically be his real freshman season because last year he technically should have still been a senior in high school. So you have Garrett Nussmeier. You brought in Michael Van Buren in the transfer portal. But if Colin Hurley is back and he's fully healthy and you think that you can rely on him if you need to, what does this mean for Jawan Johnson? We know about Jawan Johnson coming out of high school. Look, in that recruiting class, Kelly had that press conference on signing day. One of the first names he mentioned about favorite players in that draft class was Jawan Johnson. He was an incredible two-way player in high school. He led his team to back-to-back state championship appearances at Lafayette Christian. He has a state record 14,451 total yards and 171 total touchdowns. Both of those are records. He was named Mr. Football in Louisiana for 2023. He had 457 total yards, 3 rushing touchdowns in the 2023 state title game against St. Thomas More that they lost his senior year. As a junior in 22, 595 yards and 5 touchdowns, once again lost to St. Thomas More. We all talk about Brock Berlin as one of the best quarterbacks to ever come through the state of Louisiana. Brock Berlin had the Louisiana record for total offense, but Jawan Johnson broke that in a state quarterfinal win. He also broke Nick Brissett's Louisiana record for total touchdowns. Both of those guys, Brock Berlin and Nick Brissett, went on to have college careers. So I like Jawan Johnson. I think he's a heck of an athlete. But if you remember, he played both ways in high school, and he was recruited here as a corner. Last fall, media was allowed to go to a lot of fall practices. I was personally out there. If you remember, Major Burns played that star role. With the twos, that second group, as a freshman, Jawan Johnson was in that 2 deep at that star position. He was the primary backup in fall camp to Major Burns, and he looked really good. He made some plays at star. Of course, though, John Emery gets hurt once again after that first game of the year against USC out of necessity because Caden Durham had yet to come on yet. So it was really Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, an unknown, and Caden Durham. That was your running back room. So you moved over Jawan Johnson out of necessity. Now, in spring, Jawan Johnson is playing the quarterback position. No, he's not wearing the no-contact jersey, but he's out there. He's running with the quarterbacks. It's a lot of read option stuff. He's mainly just a runner, but we've seen him throw a little bit of passes in some of the highlights that have been released. Where does he fit on this team? Was he ever going to be a serious option at quarterback? Maybe. Maybe not. Will you try to use him for special run packages? I mentioned all the read options that have been reported that Jawan Johnson has been running. Or, since Colin Hurley is back, you hope he's fully healthy. If he returns to full form, you'll have Garrett Nussmeier, Michael Van Buren, and Colin Hurley. That's 3 pretty good quarterbacks in that room. Do you move Jawan Johnson? We had Mike Scarborough on yesterday. He mentioned he would like to see Jawan Johnson a receiver. I think he could play there. I think he's athletic enough to do it. The problem with that is you already have so many receivers. I mean, you have too many receivers right now to get them all on the field. As good as Jawan Johnson could be in that spot, You're kind of getting lost in the shuffle there as well. I don't think you're going to move him back to running back because I mentioned like Caleb Jackson, if he stays here. You have Caden Durham coming back. Harlem Berry's here for the spring. You have JT Lindsay coming in the fall, another highly recruited freshman. That's a pretty good running back room. I don't think you're going to use Jawan Johnson there. Could you move him back to corner or nickel? Corner, no. With the combination of Mansour Delane, Ashton Stamps, DJ Pickett, Jakeem Jackson, I think you did a good job in the portal as well as high school recruiting, filling your needs at the cornerback position. But what about that star nickel role? I'd like to see it. Obviously, Harold Perkins is going to play that spot. But as I mentioned, last year in fall camp, Jawan Johnson was running with the twos at that star position. Could he be one of the backup spots for Harold Perkins in that spot? What if you want to move Harold Perkins around? What if you want to blitz him off the edge every now and then? You need somebody to come in and fill that nickel spot. Could Jawan Johnson do that? We haven't seen it in game action, but again, he was really good in fall camp last year. What about safety? Could Jawan Johnson play safety? Now, again, he played corner in high school along with quarterback. You recruited him as a corner. Could he make that move? Because as deep and as talented as we think this cornerback room can be, I still think there's a lot of question marks at safety. Look at what you have. You brought in Tamarcus Cooley. I think you should have brought in two guys. I love Deshaun Spears. I think he is just oozing with potential. He's 6'3", he's 210, he can cover a lot of ground. By all accounts, Javian Toviano looked really good in that open practice on Saturday. He's moving to safety. He played a lot of that in high school, but since he's been at LSU, this is really Javian Toviano's first time being a full-time safety. If you remember, out of necessity, you had to move him to corner 2 years ago under that Matt House defense because you had two freshmen playing. Remember, it was Ashton Stamps on one side, Javian Toviano on the other. And Toviano did some okay things. At times, he looked like a freshman. At times, you could kind of tell, hey, maybe this guy's playing out of position a little bit. Kind of halfway through last year, you decided, let's try him at safety a little bit. And then by the end of the year, Brian Kelly, Blake Baker, they were like, hey, we're going to move Javian Toviano to safety full time. But as far as off-season work goes, I get that Toviano's been on the team for 3 years now. This is really his first chance at LSU to play safety full time. I think that's his more natural position, but he's still kind of been out of that for 2 years now. So you have Cooley, who I think is going to be a starter. You have Deshaun Spears, who's still a young player, even though he played a good bit last year. You have Toviano, who's readjusting to the position. You have Joel Rogers currently. We'll see what his future holds in Baton Rouge. He didn't play a ton last year. I mean, you don't, and then outside of that, I mean, it's kind of a question mark, at least right now. There's not a ton of bodies at safety. Could you put Jawan Johnson at safety? As far as I know, it's a spot he's never played before. But I think Jawan Johnson is a talented enough athlete to where you have to find a spot for him. I get you had to move him to quarterback out of necessity. If Colin Hurley's back and fully healthy, you can't keep him at quarterback. You can still put him in there for, wildcat packages, read option, anything like that. But I think his full potential is getting wasted at the quarterback position. Kind of like it was at running back. Because if you remember, when he went in for John Emery, he scored a touchdown in that Nicholls State game. His first game playing running back. Everybody was really excited about it. After that, game 3 was against South Carolina. That was kind of the emergence of Caden Durham that we saw. You already had Josh Williams in the fold. He was your established back. Jawan Johnson kind of played less and less and less at the running back position as the season went along. He kind of got wasted there. So as talented of a guy as he is, he comes in last fall, working at that star position. After the first week of the season, he's immediately moved to running back. Played there a little bit last season. This spring, he's been working with the quarterbacks. And then now you're potentially moving him again. I hope they can find a spot for Jawan Johnson because I think he's talented and I think he can help this team. But you're moving him around so much, it's kind of hard to nail down one position for a guy like Jawan Johnson. I hope he sticks around because I think he's talented. I think he can help you in a number of ways. I just don't really think it's at the quarterback position. If Hurley's fully healthy. All of this depends on the health of Colin Hurley. Because again, he was back in Baton Rouge this weekend. That does not mean he is in practice shape. It definitely doesn't mean he's in game shape. It just appears to hopefully be a step in the right direction. So if Hurley returns to this team, along with Michael Van Buren and Garrett Nussmeier, what does that mean for the future of Jawan Johnson? We'll have to find out as they're about to wrap up spring. They'll get into summer workouts, fall camp. We'll see where Jawan Johnson lands on this football team.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.